What's up, everybody? We got some more Starcraft 2 action for you today. We got game 2 of Ronix versus ScoobyJ in the Dirt Dog Starcraft 2 tournament. Jay turking the first game on Zelnaga Caverns. In game 2 we got another Protoss versus Protoss, unsurprisingly, on Shakaras Plateau. Fitting places for the Protoss to be dueling it out. So we got in the top left in the blue, Mr. Ronix, also known as Callius. And in the bottom right, we got in the green, none other than ScoobyJ. Looks like both players once again opting to scout after their initial pylon, which makes a little bit more sense on this map, considering it's a bit bigger map and there are multiple places where your opponents can spawn. Looks like Jay wants to check all the bases and then grab the watchtower. And Ronix, likewise, deciding to check all the bases, but he wants to return the mineral line. He's just a little bit more greedy than Jay. Well, I guess Jay is greedy for information. It's its own kind of greedy. Ronix a little bit more on the ball with his gateway timing here this time around. Then again, he's also got no pesky probe harassing his ramp this time around. Although that said, Jay's gateway is a little bit faster coming out. It's not that's likely to make much difference. Even if you were to chrono boost out that first zealot, by the time you make it all the way across the map, you probably have two friends to contend with. Jay got quite the waypoint here. Looks like he wants to get as much scouting as possible out of this probe, and Ronix sending one of his own after Jay's probe. Not a bad idea. You never know what a sneaky probe can do if left alone in your base. Ronix once again going for the forge after gateway, whereas Jay is going for the cybernetics core. Ronix does seem to like his cannons. Looks like that probe in Jay's base managed to be cleaned up. Ronix slightly ahead on probes, but Jay has got that zealot sitting there, holding the top of the ramp there, finishing off that block. Zealot coming up for Ronix. So we got another gateway and a cyber core coming from Ronix. And likewise a second gate for Jay. And a Twilight Council, huh? Maybe going for some blink stalkers or what have you. Ronix getting a little bit high on that chrono energy. A couple more gateways coming down. Going for the 4 gate. Oh no, 3 gates and a cyber core. My bad. Jay's a little probe here clutching onto that warp gate for dear life. Twilight Council's done. Is it gonna do anything with it? What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Well, I guess he doesn't actually have the resources to do anything quite yet. Pumping out a couple more zealots. Meanwhile, over in Camp Ronix, he has a pretty equal number of zealots. In fact, it's completely equal. Now when he's going for the Stargate, Ronix does like his Void Rays. Although his Nexus sitting at full 100 chrono energy. I suppose he could be saving that up for some Stargate production, but I don't know. Chrono boosting on the Nexus. Jay seems to be a little bit oversaturated on his minerals here. He's got, what, 26 probes? Not on gas right now, so he is indeed oversaturated. You only need 24 probes to saturate your base's minerals. Looks like he's going for the charge and a couple more gateways to make 5. Lots of zealots coming out. A bit of an odd strategy to go mass charge slot, but it could work. Although I'm not sure how effective it is going to be against Void Rays. Ronix got a pretty good army of his own here, including a sentry to wall off that ramp, which will render Jay's zealots completely useless, and a cannon here to help pick off those zealots from the other side of the force field. Chronoing out a couple stalkers. Oh, no sentries. And his first void ray is done. Looks like Jay's pushing out with his zealots here, and he's got a little proxy pylon to help him enforce. Got a forge coming up. His charge has indeed finished. That's a lot of zealots, but I don't think he's going to be able to do a... Oh, well, maybe he is going to be able to do a little bit here. Callius determined not to let him leave. Oh, and all the zealots are pinned up against the wall and the other force fields. Meanwhile, this zealot deciding he's going to take on this cannon all on his own. It's not going to go too well for him. This void ray is just sitting here, which is not very useful, except for the fact that if we look at Jay's camera, he's not seen the fact that there's a Stargate and a void ray. Ronix once again able to hold off. Things not going quite so well for Jay this time around. Only able to kill off 3 units there. And Ronix is chrono boosting a void ray while supply blocked. Always the optimal use of that chrono energy. Sending a couple of void rays out across the map. Jay assigned to add on a robo facility and expanding. Scouting for bases here, or perhaps he's going for the mineral line. And at this point, it doesn't look like Jay has much of an army, which could probably be kind of bad for you, especially with void rays knocking at your gate. His one zealot's not going to do him a whole lot of good at this point. He's adding on a couple more gateways, which is a total of 7, indeed. 7 gateways, and apparently his zealot died somewhere. He does pump out a couple stalkers, which I'm not sure why 2 void rays would run away from 2 stalkers, but well, he does manage to engage this time around. Jay cancelling those gateways, opting to instead warp in a couple of more stalkers. Takes out 1 void ray, and at this point the void ray rush is pretty much foiled. Ronix moving out his army a little bit out the front here. Should really probably be expanding behind this void ray pressure. These stalkers sitting here, just perched, ready to deal with any reoccurrence of void rays. The observer just kind of sitting there. Actually, you want to rally that into your opponent's base or something. But I guess you do probably want to be a little bit wary of wandering into any photon cannons. A couple more geysers coming up for Jay, sending some probes into those right off the bat. Jay's army is still looking pretty small. He's only up to 5 stalkers at this point. But that should be more than enough to deal with all the void rays. But 5 stalkers is probably not enough to deal with this army. So Jay might be in a little bit of trouble here, but he's warping in some stuff on his own. That's the beauty of being the defender. It's pretty easy to reinforce your own base. Looks like Ronix is going to check for a third. Always a smart idea. If you can find that undefended third and take it out without any losses, it's definitely better than throwing your army against another army and not doing a whole lot. Some more forces warping in for Jay, and unfortunately at this point, I think he's unfortunately for Ronix anyways, he can probably manage to hold this. A couple force fields, and those zealots from Ronix just aren't able to do a whole lot. That Immortal coming into the fray a little bit late. Looks like Jay's gone for +1 armor, and he's going for +2. It's a little strange. Ronix retreating all the way across the map, and Jay's still holding this watchtower. Ronix grabbing his expansion, throwing up a couple defensive photon cannons. Never a bad idea. Well, I don't want to say never, but it's hard to go wrong with defending your natural. A couple of Void Rays sitting here, maybe waiting to strike, so to speak. Looks like Jay is looking to take his third. Popping out some Immortals. Immortals are gonna, of course, help big time in cleaning up that ground army. The big concern for Jay, I think, would have to be those Void Rays, but with 11 Stalkers, you can probably take those out pretty easily. Ronix building an observer of his own, and a second observer for some reason. I guess, you know, scouting multiple places at once is good. Lots of force fields all over the place, and it's kind of hard to tell who's actually force fielding what, but whatever. Looks like Ronix is able to hold this off pretty well. Still pretty far ahead of Jay in the units lost tab, but now that he's got these Immortals out, he's going to have a pretty big advantage against this ground army. Just racking up the kills here. And things are starting to go Jay's way. His Void Rays just still sitting around here, and a couple observer buddies hanging out. Oh. Did this Nexus not go down, or did it cancel and I missed it? Or Oh, and the Void Rays now deciding to look out across the way. Does Ronix know the space is here? Doesn't seem to have seen it, but there's this thing here, so I don't know. He might know it's there. Either way, it's always good to check for expansions. Oh, but he's getting caught with these stalkers, and he's just getting annihilated while he's on move command. And his Void Rays are going to go down without doing any damage whatsoever. Ronix had this match, but it just seems to be slipping through his fingers with just a couple bad engagements. And with that, the army tab now seems to be favoring Jay pretty heavily. Looks like Ronix is now the one on the back foot. Catching another Void Ray out of position, not quite able to take it out. This transition into Stalkers hasn't quite decided to get Blink quite yet. Looks like he's going for ground armor level 3. I guess that is going to make those Immortals even beefier. But and I guess one proxy pylon just wasn't enough. Oh, but Ronix going for a double expand. Could give him a pretty good economical lead, needless to say, but Jay's third is, well, I was going to say up and running, but there we go. Now with these probes transferring over, now it's up and running. Although, the income tab is pretty even. Oh, it looks like he's mined out in his mate. So each player working off of. Okay, so Ronix is mined out in the main as well with one idle probe. Whoa, saturation. That's 45 probes. It's about 15 too many. Deciding to transfer a whole bunch over to his freshly established third. But Jay, magical game sense, just goes for it, and all these probes are just getting taken out. And yeah, that pretty much did suck. With that, I don't think there's much left Ronix can do. He probably could have come back if he'd managed to secure these bases, but he just got caught out of position, wasn't able to hold, and ScoobyJ is just romping all over him. And that ends game number 2.